Hello, welcome to a new video. In this video, we'll be making this dress. It has gathers by the side and like a ruffle effect on top. This was inspired by the popular Desiree Yama's dress. I just added a little twist to mine so it will not look like I copied verbatim. So if this is something you like, keep watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll be notified whenever I make a new post. Thank you. And I'll be marking the starting point, which is also serving as my shoulder line. After doing that, I'll take my tape and I'll remove 6 inches. That's what I want my off shoulder to be. After taking away 6 inches, I'll be marking my bust point, which is 10 inches, my under bust, which is 13 inches, my waistline, which is 17 inches. This is a long gown and it doesn't have any joining, so I'll be marking my hip line, which is 27 inches, and the full length of this, which is 50 inches. Remember, you can make yours how long or short you want it to be, but my dress is 50 inches. After marking the point, the next thing to do is to rule a line across all of the points that I have made, which is my bust point, my under bust, my waistline, my hip line, and the full length of this dress. Here I was trying to label, but it was after making this video that I realized that this marker that I was using wasn't the brightest. I'll be adding my dart at this point, and my dart is actually 4 inches. So I'm going to be marking 4 inches on my bust point, my under bust, my waistline, and even my hip line. After doing that, I'll be getting a ruler to connect all my dart points that I have made in a straight line. So this is 4 inches in a straight line from my bust point to my. On my waistline, I'll be going out by ½ inch on both sides of the dart, and then I'll come down by 1 inch from my bust point. From my waistline, I'll go down by 5 inch and mark a point there. That's where my dart will stop. I'll take my ruler and connect from the 1 inch I came down to the ½ inch on the waistline to give like a triangle shape. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side, and on the lower part I'll repeat the same thing to meet the 5 inches that I came down from my waistline. So this is what I'm going to have as my dart. Please note that this dart that I have made, that's the 4 inches, will get to the bottom of this dress. So this is me just trying to mark 4 inches across till I get to the waistline, because that's where I stopped. After doing that, I'll get a ruler and connect all the points that I have made until I get to the bottom of this dress. That's the length of the dress. The next thing I'm going to do is to get my chest line, and to do this I'm going to go up from my bust point line. I'm going to go up by 2.5 inches, and then I'm going to mark a line across it, and I'll be labeling chest line. On my chest line, I'm going to be taking my bust circumference divided by 4, which is 9.5. I'm going to be marking a point there. And I'm also going to be marking my waist circumference divided by 4, which is 7 inches. I added 1 extra inch because of the dart. The dart is 1 inch, so I just added it. I'm going to connect the point from my waistline to my chest line. I'll move over to my hip line. And on my hip line, I'll be taking my hip circumference divided by 4, which is 10.75. And I'm going to connect that point also to my waistline. Now, whatever you have on your hip line, you're going to mark the exact same thing till you get to the full length of this dress. So I'm just marking 10.75 until I get to the bottom of the dress. And I'll also connect with my ruler. Now, because this is off shoulder, you're going to take away 2 inches from your shoulder measurement. My shoulder is supposed to be 7.5, but I marked 6 inches. I just decided to add ½ inch for ease. And I'm going to be connecting that 6 inches that I mark to my chest line, just to give me like a little slant to form like the armhole area. We are done with all the measurements needed for this gown. The next thing to do is to get that waist cut out, the side flare cut out. If you look at the style, you see that it has like a C cutout. To achieve that, I'm going to go down by 4 inches from the waistline and mark a point there. And then I'm going to get a curve from that 4 inches that I marked to where my dart stopped. So just follow what I'm doing. I don't have like the armhole curve. It would have been easier. I was just trying to get a curve. I should have used my free hand for this actually, but this is exactly what it was looking like. I did not exactly like it, so I went ahead to get another small curve from the 4 inches line, and this is exactly what I have. You can do yours with your free hand. It's going to be flared on that area, so there's no need doing too much. I'm going to go ahead and cut my pattern paper. Just follow the lines I have already made. After I get to the end, I'm actually going to be separating this C-cut that I have from the main pattern. Please just watch what I'm doing. After we're done cutting, we'll be having two patterns. One for the full part of this and another from the waistline. That's to represent the C-cuts that we made. This is the fabric that I'll be using for this style. This is about 3 yards of fabric. I think it is called the Shiny Face Mikado. Shiny Face Mikado, 3 yards. That's what I used to achieve this style. If you actually want the lower part of your dress, the flared area to be fuller, you might want to get 4 yards for this style. But I actually used 3 for mine. Now you're going to arrange your fabric and you're going to place your pattern paper on it. You can go ahead to pin it down just like I did with mine. I pinned it down. After pinning it down, the next step is to get your allowance, and I extended my waist area, my bust area, and just added an allowance of 1 inch on all of the sides, and then I connected. It's simple, just add 1 inch throughout. And then for the lower part, I went on to add half an inch because I just need my joining allowance. So I added just half an inch. I did the same thing. I added half an inch on other areas of this gown. And then I'll go ahead to cut it out. Please just follow what I'm doing if you don't get what I'm saying. After I was done cutting, this is exactly what it will look like. I'll go ahead and remove the pins, give it a good press, and then I'll be using it to cut out the back. For the back panel of this dress, I've gone ahead to fold my fabric and I've marked my zipper allowance area. Now I'm going to be placing the right side of this fabric where my zipper allowance starts, because that's the major difference between the front and the back, the zipper allowance. Now, something that I do to reduce zipper bulge on my waistline, I'm just trying to make sure I get my accurate waistline. So I'm just going to be folding it and I'm extending the waistline from my front to my back. So that is my waistline. My zipper allowance is 1.5 inches, but on the waistline, I'll be going in by 1 inch. I've marked the points there, and then I'll be going out by 1 inch also on the other side. Please just watch what I'm doing. This thing I'm doing helps to reduce zipper bulge. So I'll take away 1 inch from the zipper allowance area, and then I'll add it to the other side. On my center back, I'll come down by 1.5 inches because I want the back to be a little lower than the front. After doing that, I'm going to be using my chalk to trace out the armhole area because I'm going to be folding it to get my back length. And as you can see, I'm connecting my zipper allowance area properly to show that I have removed 1 inch. Now, from that 1.5 inches that I went down by on my center back, I'll be connecting it to the side of this dress. Please just watch what I'm doing. Remember that I went down by 1.5 inches on the center back because the back of this type of dresses are usually a little bit lower than the front. The next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and cut out following all of the lines that I have made. Just follow your chalk that you have already marked. After cutting this out, I'll set this aside and start to work on the cutout area. This is the area of this dress that is going to be made into a little flare and attached to the side. And I'm going to achieve this by slash and spread. So I'm going to be marking 2 inches till I get to the end of this pattern. 2 inches. It depends on how much fabric you have. You might do 1 or 1.5. After marking 2 inches, I extended my lines to the end of this pattern. And then I'm going to be using my scissors to open up this pattern to the end of this fabric. But before I do that, I'm going to be labeling 1, 2, 3, 4. Just label it so you know where goes to where. Now I'm just slashing until I get to the end of the fabric. So slash everything out. After slashing out, I'm going to carry the pieces that I have and I'm going to be placing it on my fabric. Now I'm cutting the 2 sides of this flare together. So this fabric you are seeing is now you're going to start placing your pattern. So however you are placing it, make sure and then you further with the corresponding number. So if you are placing number 1, the third, make sure it's followed by 2, make sure you are spacing them. You can decide to use 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, depending on how much fabric you have. That's for the spacing of this pattern. I think I used about 4 inches for mine. So after placing pattern 1, you give 4 inches, you place the number 2, you give 4 inches, you place the number 3, you give 4 inches before you place the last one. After doing that, you're going to go ahead and cut out. Make sure you follow the curves carefully. Just go ahead and cut it out. You're going to take out the pattern paper, and when you open this up, you see that you have 2 pieces, one for one side, the other for the other side. That's left and right. You're going to set this aside and you're going to finish with the main fabric. I'll be using a lining for this fabric, and this is the only color I actually have available in the house. It won't get to the lower part, so I'm just going to be stopping the lining maybe before you get to the C cut. I'll also be cutting a lining for the back panel of this dress, the exact same way I did for the front panel. The next thing to do is to transfer my dart from my pattern to both my fabric and my lining. So you're just going to go ahead and transfer your dart and you're going to hold it in. This is the front panel of my dress. I've gone ahead to take in my dart and this is what it is looking like. And if you check the video from the beginning, you see that this has a rope. It has like a rope that you tie to the back, like an alter neck, or what's it called, like a shoe back type of thing. So I'm just marking where my rope will start. You can just follow your dart line. Follow your dart line and put your rope there. For the rope, you can use a bias strip. You can use the fabric to create a tiny strip. Whatever you like, you can use it as a rope. For me, I braided wool and that's what I'm using. You can also braid your sewing thread to achieve the same result. After pinning, I'll go to my machine to stitch. After stitching, this is what you will have. The next thing to do is to place your lining piece on top of it. You're going to pin it down so it will stay still. Then you're going to take it to your machine and sew by 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch. After stitching, you can top stitch and use hemming gum so it will lay very flat by the time you turn it over to the right side. Also, for the back panel, after taking in the dart on both the lining piece and the actual fabric, you're just going to repeat the same thing you did for the front. You're going to pin it down, and then you're going to head over to your sewing machine, sew by 1/2 inch. You're going to top stitch, and you can use your hemming gum so it will lay very flat by the time you are done, and turn over to the right side. I think I forgot to mention that you're going to hem the bottom of the lining. Just hem it a little bit so it will look very neat. I don't know if you can see it from the video, but it looks very neat. After turning in with your lining piece, this is exactly what you should be having. As you can see, it is looking very, very neat. Also, for the front panel, this is what it looks like after turning in with your lining. It is looking very neat. Now for the back panel, you're just going to join in your zipper allowance area. Please make sure you're using a loose stitch so that it will not be hard for you to loosen. When you get to where you want your zipper to stop, you mark a point there, use your loose stitch, and then you can sew the other part till you get to the end of the dress. For the front panel, this is exactly what you're going to have. The next step is to place your back panel on top of the front panel. After doing this, you're just going to insert your body measurements. I think I used 1 inch all through because that's what I left as the allowance. So I wanted it to be tighter, so I used 1 inch even after turning with my lining piece. I'll go to my sewing machine, and then I'm going to sew following the lines that I have made. I've joined the sides of my dress and I've inserted my zipper. This is exactly what it is looking like. I also use my weaving to weave the edges so that it will look neat because this fabric frills. You're almost done with this dress. The next thing is to insert the sides that you have already cut with your pattern. That part that we slash and spread, you're just going to insert it into the sides of this fabric. So what you are going to do is to start from the bottom. You're going to start from the bottom and place it right sides facing each other. And then you're going to stitch until you get to that part that is curved, the C curve area. You can go ahead to pin it down so it will be easy for you. When you get to the C curve area, you will notice that there are a lot of excesses because that's where we are supposed to have our gaiter pleats. We are going to divide the excesses into two. One will come to the front side, another will go to the back side. I hope this thing I'm saying makes sense. Now, because I felt like the other thing I was trying to explain was not understandable, I've gone ahead to cut out a pattern that looks exactly like what I'm making. That's the front, this is the back. As you can see, that's the zipper allowance. The side has the C curve, and this is the fabric that I have cut out to be attached to that C cut area. This is going to mimic the fabric. This is the extra that I've cut by the side. I'm going to notch the midpoint of this area. Now, to start attaching this, you're not going to be placing it like this. You're going to be opening it like this. As you can see, you're going to be opening the sides. So you're going to be placing the part that you have notched. That part is going to be at the midpoint of the side. Please, I hope this is understandable this time around. So what you are going to do is to take one side of this area. You're going to be pinning it down, or rather stitching it down. When you get to that C curve area, you're going to stitch down. And you're going to take the other side to join on the other side of this fabric. Please just watch what I'm doing. So the other side is going to go on this area. I'm just stitching it on the outside so it will be easy because I just want to explain what I'm doing. After you get to that C curve area, you will notice you have excesses on top of it. These excesses is what you are going to be using to form your gaiter pleats. Make sure that the middle point is touching the middle of your seam. Like the midpoint is touching your seam allowance, and then you're just going to gaiter, or you're going to pleat so that it will rhyme. You're going to pleat it round the curved area so that it will rhyme and give you a little flare effect. I hope this is understandable. So this is exactly what it's going to look like when you open the dress up. You repeat this exact thing for the other side of this dress. I hope this makes sense. After you are done with that process, this is exactly what your fabric is going to look like. As you can see, it is coming out very nicely. The next step is to go and hem the bottom of this dress. Just hem the bottom and give it a very good press. The last step for this dress is the ruffles at the upper area of this. And I cut out a piece of fabric that is about, I think mine gave me 100 inches wide. So you can make yours wider depending on how much fabric you have left. So this gave me about 100 inches. As for the length of the fabric, I had about 15 inches, which gave me 7.5 inches on fold. So as I folded it like this, I got 7.5 inches. So you're going to go to your machine and you're going to stitch. You're going to stitch using 0.5 inches. And you're going to give it a very good press, making sure that the stitched area is at the middle. So just the way mine looks. But before that, on this area, you're going to make it neat by folding it by 1/2 inch inside. So just fold it inside and then stitch on top of it because this fabric frills a lot. So you have to stitch it inside. You can go ahead to serge it, but I think it is neater if you fold it inside by 1/2 inch and then you go to your machine and you sew it. Do this for both ends of this strip. After giving it a good press, this is what it looks like. As you can see, it looks smooth. The next step is to go ahead and do like a gather on the middle of this. If you cannot do a gather, you can do a pleat. Just pleat it round the upper part of your dress, maybe by 1/2 inch. So I decided to do pleats. So I just pleated the area from the zip allowance area. This is what it looks like at the back. So I just pleated the area round until I got to the end. So just give it nice pleat, or you can use gather, whatever you prefer. After pleating, I didn't want to leave it standing, so I just folded it to give it like a two-step effect. Please remember, you're going to be stitching at the middle. So one part goes to the down, the other side goes to the up. But I wanted the part that goes to the up to fall back down to give it like a two-step effect. Please just watch what I'm doing. So just go ahead and stitch. I'm showing you the areas where I stitch. Just stitch it. It's not going to show. After stitching it, then you use your iron to press it down so it will fall down, but in a way that, I don't know, it doesn't fall properly. It gives it like a nice ruffle effect. So that's all for this dress. Basically, this is the down. I'm just showing you that I've hemmed it, and that'll be all for the dress. If you have gotten to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll be notified whenever I make a new post. Thank you, and see you in my next video.